the words that accompany them.
That's great.
Really
What's it called?
get into
Cardamom.
their perspective.
Cardamom into that. Okay.
The words are usually focused.
Abra is an expanded artist's book that received a grant from the Center for Book and Paper Arts at Columbia College Chicago, which they got from the NEA to create specifically what they call expanded artist books, which are expanding the notion of the artist book to include iPad apps. So it's a collaboration between me, Kate Durbin, and Ian Hatcher.
But this is much more gratifying than glass. Because I mean, in the same way that I can touch something on a pad and make it do things. So to here, I'm undulating the wires by moving my hand underneath this thick foil. Because it's actually a very nice thing to hold. And I mean, this is textured. So it's unlike the iPad, which is one touch. So we have monochromatic. We need a word for one touch, one sensation with touch. It's just glass.
Very true. Well, I'm glad that you find it interesting to touch because it's meant to be a book that encourages touch, that invites touch, that really asks the reader to think about the surface of the page as a surface for interaction. So we're using techniques like thermochromic ink, which disappears when the heat of your hand goes over it, laser cutting.
If your hands are warm enough,
right?
Which ours aren't, and Joe's not warm enough. But and it disappears.
Yes.
So that's a different kind of thing.
It is, and it's also a very erotic text. Like, I'll be upfront with you, the language in this book is very erotic, so to have a reader come up and breathe their hot breath on the page is completely appropriate. The first few pages are blind printed, so you can't actually see this word heaving that's coalescing out of little fragments of type.
I feel some bumps.
Exactly. It's a
but they're not, yeah, but I would have no idea how to interpret them. I could just feel them. And I feel them on this side.
Right, you're feeling them on the reverse
because
of the impression, yeah. And if you sort of tilt your head and the light is just
I can see it too, yeah.
So that's meant to evoke one of the earliest forms of printing, the use of cuneiform impression on clay tablets.
I would never.
So what are the lessons from this?
It's meant, all of these references are just meant to sort of be subtle things that are, it's very non-literal.
You know what I mean?
Good.
Likewise with the use of references to manuscript illumination, there's gold ink that appears periodically, there's gray and black text, but you won't see red or green flourishes on the page. It's very minimalist, but it's meant to evoke that history. And so the first poem heaves its way up onto the page.
So it does, because in the way that we're accustomed to seeing on Kathleen Ottinger's work, for example, you see the text undulating behind, but then these pop-up notifications frustrate your ability to read the poem. And here it is in his form. You're doing the same thing. Because it's true, I can't really make out the words underneath. The paper's just thick enough that I can't. I just know it's there. Heaving tumor trellis up the flesh wall. Heaving tumor trellis up the flesh wall to evolve, implode, tide-road, bristle blossom. Nipple necklace, transplant desire, written taste. After rupture of tar, stars restart, our wrapped throats rising. Your heaving is the first word of the book and the last word of the book because it's meant to be circular. And it's an Ouroboros always swallowing its own tail. I don't know what an Ouroboros is. It's that, that symbol of the snake that's swallowing its own tail. But the thing about rising, the reason I repeated it, is that it's a different color. Right. The first and last word of every poem is printed in gold to reference manuscript illumination. And then you start to see the same poem appear here, heaving tumor trellis up the flesh wall, but now it's receded into gray text, and in the spaces between the words, a new poem has come to the foreground. So that's the sort of mutational metaphor that plays out over the course of the book. A poem will always be receding and a new one entering. Why did you decide to do that? The way the poems were originally written was as this kind of mutational flipbook style text. So in the trade edition, there will be pages where you only see the black text, no gray text, in order to facilitate seeing this animation that's happening. Because the poems are about mutation and excessiveness, we wanted them to do the thing they were talking about. So that's how that is. That's good. That's great.